On to our first question. And if you're wondering where these questions are coming from and how you can submit questions, you can't. I asked for questions 3-4 months ago for Dutch. I got like over 100 back. And these are sort of remnants of those that I'm going to ask. But I will open questions up. I'll figure it out. You know, you'll be the first to know anyway. The first question is, Brody, how about his thoughts and opinions on the dark side of the ring? And what was it like to work with the producers? I mean, you were on screen and you also voiced over the first series, didn't you?
Yes, I did. They were really, really good. They really did. They really did their research on this. And they had some great stories. They did the research on that. Plus, I was there in the studio with them. And they say, well, how would this be said? And they gave me free rein. They said, no, say it like, that's the question, but say it like you would say it. So I would kind of throw that in there and keep it from being too stilted, I think. But they did a great job. They were great to work with. Plus, they're, heavy duty wrestling fans. And that's what you want to work with. Evan Husney and his friend Jason, can't quite remember the last name, but they had all this material they wanted to get in. And my job was easy. They'd just give me a line that was, they said, see if you can get it in 12 seconds. Okay, well, you got to read it in 12 seconds. I got it. And everything went smooth. And we did, I think I did the first one. I think we did 3. How many episodes were on the first season? 7, 6?
Something like that. I'll find out while you carry on.
Yeah, and the only one that I didn't voice over it was the Bruiser Brody one, but I was on that one. And they were asking me about, and I also, talking about Bruiser Brody, it's in this book that night in Puerto Rico, and it's heavily detailed, and there's still some doubt over what caused that, even today, even though the man that did it said he did it, but he claimed self-defense. And this is another thing about being in a foreign, it's not a foreign country, it's a commonwealth of the United States, Puerto Rico. But the jury were all wrestling fans too. And and when I said really what killed Brody, the trial was, they were believers. They believed that Bruiser Brody was a big, crazy man. And one of their Puerto Rican citizens was afraid of him. And in that shower, he thought Brody was going to kill him, so he stabbed him. Which I think if you really, I don't know how they could get an acquittal. I thought that the worst they could have come up with was a hung jury. But they didn't. But back to Dark Side of the Ring. That was one of the stories, and of course the Owen Hart. And they had some great stories. So when I told Eben about his idea, because he called me about 2 years before they even started it, and told me what he wanted to do, and I said, "Brother, that's a great idea." He said it's going to be it's what do they call that when it's they have a word for it. It's the scenes it's depicted behind it. It's not the
Well, it's almost like a dream sequence version of things, isn't it?
Basically, and they did that. And I told him, I said, this is going to do well. He said, how do you know that? I said, well, I know wrestling fans. You think it'll do well? I said, yeah, I think it'll be probably, Vice is not NBC, and it's not CNN, but the first season of Dark Side in the Ring had the highest ratings of anything they'd ever done. Viewership, the highest. And, we were talking earlier, you talk about the British wrestling, why it was discontinued. It's because people thought it was lowbrow, low class. Well, the people at Vice thought the same thing till they saw how people tuned into this and watched it. Because in a series like Dark Side of the Ring, you got new fans and you got your older fans. Plus, it was a true story that the people could believe in and look it up. And if you told your dad, say, hey, I saw this, you remember that? Oh, yeah, I remember that, this, that, and the other. So then he would start watching. So it was a very, very profitable and well-watched series. And I think what followed that was Dark Side of the Ring 2. I think it was even better than that. And I think they did a 3.
Yep.
I got fired after 1 because I wasn't a Canadian citizen. They had to let me go. That's horrible when government gets in the way you're making money. But I enjoyed the show. I enjoy the way these guys put it together, and they did a great, great job.
Now, you can't speak to this, I suppose, firsthand, but Jim Ross recently said he was a bit unhappy with his portrayal on Dark Side. I think they basically took the most inflammatory comments that he may have made during an interview and then inserted it in, and he was unhappy. He came off very grumpy. But it's Jim Ross. He always comes off grumpy.
He's always grumpy. And then gets up in the morning, he's grumpy. You see him come in the restaurant, how you doing, Jim? I'm all right. He's just a grumpy back. Jim is not overly friendly ever. But I think he thought some of his comments were taken in the wrong spirit. They didn't mean anything by him. He said them. And he sold his appearance on the show. That's what they wanted him to do. So they can't add to what he says. They can just put up. They can just show. Maybe it's the way they produced it. I don't know. But I heard he was upset. And even when I was there doing the territories, the new tape territories, he said it. So I don't know what to tell him. So I don't know what to tell him either. So what was he?
Oh, I don't know. I wrote this ages ago. I can't remember. I'll move on.